Welcome to AmA Media.2.0. I hope you find here what you were looking for. Thumbs up the video, share and subscribe if you haven't yet. Now let's get it. Enjoy. Only children would frolic during his time. Finally, Nyame spoke to his youngest son Awia, and praised him. Nyame made him chief and told him that any issue that needed to be settled would take place during his time. He gave him the rainbow to protect himself from his brothers if they ever wished to harm him, and promised that it would remind his subjects who saw it that danger would not befall them. Lastly, he gave Anansi his blessing for knowing his inner thoughts, and said Anansi would be known as his messenger. How diseases were brought to the tribe. In this tale, Anansi went to the sky god Nyame one day. He wanted to take one of Nyame's sheep, named Kwame, and eat it. Anansi told Nyame that if he was allowed, he would bring Nyame a maiden as a gift from one of the villages in return. Nyame agreed and gave him the sheep, so Anansi left and set out for his home. Later preparing the sheep. Once he was finished preparing it, Anansi searched for a village and discovered one where only women lived. The spider settled there and gave each of them some of the sheep he had killed, marrying every woman in the village and forsaking his promise to Nyame. Soon, however, a hunter visited the village that Anansi had settled in and witnessed what he was doing. The hunter soon left and went to Nyame, reporting what he'd seen in the village. Nyame became furious upon learning of Anansi's deception and ordered his messengers to go to the village Anansi was living in and take every woman there. His messengers obeyed and took every woman, save one that was ill at that time, and presented him to Nyame. Disappointed, Anansi wasn't sure what he'd do as he now only had one remaining wife, as she was too sick to help him. He asked her and she simply told Anansi to gather a gourd and bathe her, filling up the gourd with the water he'd used afterward. That water would then house all of the diseases that had afflicted her. Anansi obeyed his wife and she became incredibly beautiful. Anansi realized she was more beautiful than any of the other wives he'd taken on while living in the tribe, in fact, and smitten by her. Anansi remarried the woman. Yet, the hunter visited the village again. He saw Anansi's wife, now beautiful beyond comparison, and returned to Nyame to report what he'd discovered. The hunter told Nyame that Anansi had tricked him, because the women that Nyame had taken from Anansi were all hideous in comparison to the beautiful woman Anansi had as his current wife. Nyame was furious again, then ordered his messengers to send for her, and they went to Anansi's village looking for the woman. Anansi with them and they told him of Nyame's wish. He complied, showed them where his wife was, and they took her with them to Nyame. Anansi, however, had a plan of his own, and began his scheme once they left. Anansi searched for the gourd that had the water he'd bathed his wife with, and then took a skin and made a drum with it. He then made another drum and called for his son in Tikuma. Together the two began beating the drums and dancing while singing vulgarities. Anin the crow, another messenger of Nyame, saw what Anansi was doing and told Nyame about the dance. Nyame then sent his messengers and asked him to bring Anansi to him, as he wanted the spider to perform the dance for him. Anansi, however, told them that he could only perform his dance around his wives and that he needed his drum. He promised that he would dance before Nyame if he agreed to this. So the messengers informed Nyame and he agreed to Anansi's terms. The messengers then brought Anansi to the harem where his wives were kept and he began playing. Soon Nyame came and danced to the song while the former wives of Anansi joined in. Anansi's final wife, however, recognized the gourd Anansi's drum was made from and decided not to dance, suspecting Anansi's trickery. Yet, she was coerced into joining Nyame in the performance. Before she could begin, however, Anansi opened the drum and tossed all the water from the gourd. All of the diseases that were once washed away returned and sickness fell upon the tribe. So it was that the sky god caused Anansi to bring all illnesses to the world. So AmA thanks you for tuning in. Please leave a comment. Grantangi until the next video. Peace and much love to all. So lobby.